If you're anything like me, you want to be cool. And I believe the path to being cool is sounding cool. And to sound cool, you have to understand what makes that cool sounding shit so damn cool. A student recently shared this post with me and I was like, damn, that's cool. And I recognize a guitar player as someone who performed with Lindesis, who I did a chill hop video on a few weeks ago, and he played some cool shit. Today we're gonna break down this groove and I'm gonna pick out some chords and licks you could use in your own playing to sound cool. And if you want to follow along with the interactive tab, check us out on Patreon. Here we go. What makes for an interesting chord progression? Well, the answer's subjective, but I notice a lot of musicians tend to perk up at the unexpected. And always the unexpected chord is going to be the one not in the key signature. So in the key of E major, if I go up the first 3 chords of the scale, to go to the 4 chord is not necessarily going to be a sonic surprise. And not just because it continues the linear sequence of the scale, but if I go to the 5 or the 6 chord, it still sounds not surprising. But let's try it with the groove just to see what it sounds like if I go up to the 4 chord. Okay, so now let's see if we could switch this up a little bit and make it surprising. So let's keep those first 3 chords and choose our 4th chord to be out of the key signature. And a really good place to start is picking chords from the parallel minor key. So in the key of E major, the parallel minor is E minor. Now many songs do this, but the most recent example is in Leave the Door Open by Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak. And if you want to dive deeper into how parallel minor works in that song, check out my video. So let's borrow C major from the E minor scale and see how it sounds in this progression. Well, you certainly can't say it doesn't stand out. Now, if we want to expand on this out of key chord, a really simple approach is to precede it with its 5. So the 5 of C being G, so I could play a G chord before the C and have the chord progression that sounds like this. Starting to sound pretty unique now. How about we spice up the chords a little bit by making the major chords 9 chords and making the minor chords suspended 7 chords, which are basically slash chords. So let's hear what this is now. Alright, it sounded pretty tight. And now just a quick word on the rhythm playing for this. I take my E major 9 chord, and I'm going to grab the middle 4 strings with my thumb on the A, and then my index, middle, and ring on the D, G, and B string. And I'm going to grab all of them for those first couple of hits. And that last little strum, I release the pressure on my left hand, so it just punctuates it and gives it a little bit of a staccato feel. And then I go thumb, fingers, and then very last strum with just my fingers. And when I continue on to these next 2 chords, I'm going to continue the same sequence, but I have to put 2 chords in it. So the way it's going to work out is I do my first chord, and that last grab I go up to my F sharp with a G sharp in the bass, and I get that full thing. I continue on with my G chord and my C major 9. Let's say you're jamming with the homies and it's not time to solo, or you just want to layer a second guitar part. What do you play so you're not playing the exact same part as the first rhythm guitar part that we created? A simple starting point is play in a different register. If guitar 1 is playing in the mid to low parts of the guitar, like we had right here, going from here and then going down, that's the mid to low part. So we could play in another register, which would be the higher parts. And this is where knowing your chords on the top 4 strings really helps. So if we have an E major 7 chord right here, I want to be able to find the top 4 strings to play it in a different register. And a common chord that we could use for this same one is right here. And that's our E major 7 on the top 4 strings. And it's a little bit tricky to find. Our root is right here on the 9th fret on the G string. But what I always see is the A string power chord or A string bar chord that we often use right here. And I put it up right there and I see that. There we go. Now another good chord is for the slash chord, particularly this F over G. We could play the higher version up here by barring the 10th fret, and just that big bar right there can be played like that. But we could also do some cool chord moves by grabbing the 12th fret of the E string or the B string. All right, now it's time to solo. Our first 2 bars are in the key of E major, and the next 2 are in the key of C major. Now to have a sense of continuity and to bring out the major 7 quality over the C chord, we could play in the key of E minor, or particularly E minor pentatonic. And if you want to learn more about superimposed pentatonics like this, I go over this concept in my Neo Soul book, which you can learn more about right there. So first, we want to get comfortable with the scales we're using, and then we could throw in some licks. Now let's check out our first lick in E major 7. Here's our E major pentatonic scale. But we really want to see this E major 7 chord. And we're going to start off like that. That's a really sweet little lick right there. We break up the E major 7 chord. And then I'm going to start right here and do chromatically. Then I'm going to slide into the 11th fret. And go back down the E major 7 chord. Now, you're outlining an E major 7 chord, but that works over the E major key in general. So you can just bring out that key center tonality, and it sounds pretty nice. All right, now let's vibe on a couple of 5 chord licks. So in this chord progression, we have G going to C, our 5-1. So we could really play a little bit of outside stuff that's going to take advantage of that 5 chord that's pulling us into the 1. So we could think about it like this, outlining our G chord. Hey. All right, so first we want to see outlining the G chord. This is our G chord right here. I'm going to outline it, sliding into the 3rd, and going down to the flat 7. So even right there, just picking out those chord tones is going to sound great. And then I'm going to play basically a 2-5-1 that is superimposed over that G, bringing us back to the C. So I have a D, which is my 2 of C. I'm just going up that arpeggio, sliding into the D for my half step. And then a little bit of altered right here. Resolving on the 3rd of C. All right, so let's try out some of these licks. Use these ideas as starting points to inspire your own unique chord progression or guitar lick. And if you're curious about some of the other licks that I played in the examples, Patreon members get exclusive access to an interactive tab that follows along with each lesson I release, as well as backing tracks used in this lesson and previous lessons. I appreciate the support that helps this channel grow and hopefully in turn helps you grow as a musician. So, keep jamming and stay nasty.